So if you listen to music from an algorithm, chances are it's Spotify. And maybe it's just me, but I feel like Spotify kind of sucks now. So I was on a run the other day and I loaded up one of the popular running playlists and I just couldn't get into a groove. I had bad shuffle ADD. So I loaded up another running playlist and I noticed it had a lot of the same songs. And it seems like this has happened to me across all genres of music. And I've been wondering, has Spotify gotten worse or is it just me? And if I had to nail down the biggest frustration I have with Spotify, it would be the playlists. I think that playlists have been the biggest value proposition between Spotify and other streaming services. Spotify's entire service was built around the ability to curate and share playlists. And it draws its roots from a time when people would burn and mix CDs and music piracy was on the rise. And this is actually how I got into Spotify. Let's take a trip back to the early 2000s. Pretty much everybody had one of these and would use the iTunes music library to store and curate their music. And if you wanted new music, you could either buy it online, burn it from a CD, or find it somewhere online. Yeah, piracy was a big problem, but there were also a lot of mixtape sites back then like DatPiff, where if you wanted Lil Wayne's newest mixtape, there just wasn't anywhere else to get it. Back in the day, I would spend hours curating and building new playlists, burning CDs, and handing out flash drives, and that was really the only way to share music back then. And then you had to store it somewhere, and it seemed like storage would just always fill up. And then Spotify came out with two huge features. You could import your existing library and playlists, but you could also stream like 10 million free songs and curate and share playlists publicly. And this made finding and sharing new music a whole lot easier. It was awesome. I first started using Spotify back in 2009. I actually used a VPN to get it before it was available in the US. And the old Spotify app and UI was a lot like iTunes at first, except you had access to this massive streaming library. You could still play your own music as long as it was stored locally. But as the years went on and Spotify's streaming library grew, I stopped using my own locally stored music more and more because I just ran out of storage space and it was just too convenient. And I just kind of stopped building my own playlists entirely. But I feel like the playlists, and this includes radio, have gotten progressively worse. And if I had to pinpoint why, it would be because a lot of the songs are the same and a lot of them are new releases. And I'm not making this up either. Let's compare two of the biggest hip hop playlists, Rap Caviar and Most Necessary. At the time of this video, 30% of the songs on Rap Caviar are also on Most Necessary. And I realize a few of those are probably paid promotions, but still, that's a third of the entire playlist. And this is true across pretty much every genre. A lot of the popular Spotify playlists share the same songs. And not only that, but a lot of the songs are new releases. You very rarely hear a song that's over a year old on one of the popular Spotify playlists, unless it's decade specific. And don't get me started on those because they're chock full of radio hits and very rarely feature the deep cuts anyway. But I've noticed it's not just the Spotify curated playlists, it's the radio playlists too. Here, let me show you an example. This is a Shabuzi radio station that I started a few weeks ago. It's got about 50 songs, and as far as I can tell, this station hasn't been updated significantly since I started playing it. And it's got a lot of the same songs from popular country playlists that I'm trying to avoid. And when those 50 or so songs are done playing, it'll just cycle right back through the same list of songs instead of giving me new ones, which can be particularly annoying if you're in the car or if you're on a run or doing something hands-free where you can't just press pause and mess with your playlist settings. And I think the culprit here is Spotify Made For You. If you look into any radio playlist, you'll see this little Made For You icon, which basically tells you that Spotify is curating a playlist unique to you apart from some paid promotion based on your listening habits, which sounds great, but for me, at least, has been complete garbage. What ends up happening is you get stuck with the same artists and songs, and the more you listen to them, it feeds back into the algorithm, which feeds you more songs and artists like the ones you're listening to. And I have to be careful about which songs I actually like or it'll mess up the whole system. And don't even get me started on DJX. It's like that kid at the frat party who's like, yo bro, I got you. And you're like, nah, I'm cool, man. All right, look, if I'm being honest here, I think some of this comes down to my own laziness. Spotify is probably great for most people, but most people are fine with generic radio pop music. And there's a reason why those playlists are so popular on Spotify. But I don't build my own playlists anymore. I've gotten complacent and lazy, and I've let the algorithm feed me what it thinks I like. And I should probably stop sharing passwords with my wife. But there's one easy solution here. Stop listening to music. Stop listening to the Spotify curated playlists and radio stations. Instead, listen to community playlists. Now, these have become harder to find, and I know because I recently had to show somebody new to Spotify how to even find these. You have to type in your search, select playlists, and scroll down. Here's one for Lil Wayne Bangers by Warrior QB7, and it's got 39,000 saves. Is it any good? I don't know, but somebody made it, and it's out there, and they're sharing it with the world. And that right there is why I still use Spotify, because of those community playlists. That's a big reason why Spotify became popular in the first place. Spotify, if you're listening to me, I have a plan. Bring community playlists front and center. Make it easier for people to follow playlist editors and more engaging with the social aspect of listening to music. These AI features, sure, they can be great, but the thing about music, an artistic expression, is that it's a unique human experience. I don't always listen to what I like because I don't always know what I like. And I actually don't have a problem paying the $12 or whatever it is a month to stream my music because it's far cheaper than buying new music, at least for me. What I do have a problem with is an app that pushes me into popular playlists and new music that I don't want to listen to. In fact, I'd probably be willing to pay even more for a service that made it easier to find those community playlists and even tip those editors. There's a reason that so many people are turning to YouTube to find new playlists. And I haven't found one great resource or website that helps find these community playlists, but I find that Reddit is a pretty great starting place. And now I want to hear from you. I want you to drop your favorite non-Spotify curated playlist in a comment below, and I'm going to check it out, and together we're going to break free of this algorithm. Thanks for watching this video, and I'm going to go listen to some music.